Speaker Mike Johnson. Mr. Speaker, thanks for being with us here today.
Hey, Will, great to be with you. And your fellow Texan, Brooke Rollins, there said it so well. She did my press conference with me on Friday. She's doing a great job as Secretary of Agriculture and USDA. And she's pointing out a really important fact there. Remember, these blue states have resisted it. They've abused the SNAP program, just like they've abused Medicaid and so many other government programs, because by her example there, they allowed illegal aliens to siphon off those resources that were intended for Americans who are truly in need. We're working to change that, but it's a step-by-step process here.
You know, I think, as she said, it's a very good opportunity for us all to shine a spotlight on a government program, SNAP, here, that is not living up to its expectations. But still, it's become a political football, Mr. Speaker. It's one where it's who is responsible for canceling SNAP benefits with the government shutdown. Now, you and I both know the facts are that you've passed a clean resolution, continuing resolution. Democrats have yet to vote for that, not enough of them in the Senate. And still, according to an NBC poll, 52% of Americans are blaming congressional Republicans and/or Donald Trump, as opposed to 42% blaming Democrats. Why would the polls look like that when you are clearly voting to continue to fund the government? Democrats are not voting to continue to fund the government.
Well, for one thing, the polls are all over the place. I mean, CNN was reporting just on Friday of last week that Republicans were winning this as if it was some sort of political game. The only people who lose here are the American people. But those statistics like that, polls like that, don't surprise me. The entire media establishment is parroting the talking points of the Democrats every day. It's the most staggering level of gaslighting we have ever seen in American politics. Literally, the Democrats have voted 14 times to close the government down, where Republicans have voted 14 times to open it. And right after they cast the votes, Will, they go out and find the nearest television camera they can. They look right into the lens and they say, it's the Republicans' fault. I mean, it's just madness. It's absolutely the opposite of the truth. But I think the longer this drags on and the more pain that's experienced by real Americans, I think they're going to be digging beyond the headlines and looking to see who's really responsible, and the facts are very clear.
Yeah, I do think it has something to do with headlines versus the actual article. Americans know that Republicans control the presidency, the House, and the Senate. What they don't know, I think, is that you need 60 votes, which means a number of Democrats to vote to fund the government. And that's what you can't get at this point. Now, the CR that you have passed, Mr. Speaker, that expires on November 21st. Now, when that expires, what's the plan? It's theoretically back to you guys in the House.
We're very mindful of the clock, and the great irony here is the Democrats are the ones that are taking the time off that clock. We needed it. Remember, we passed the clean CR back on September 19th, well in advance of this cliff, the end of the fiscal year, September 30th. And it was Republicans and Democrats, appropriators, the people in Congress who specialize in the government budgeting and funding, who came together and said we need 7 more weeks to finish our regular government funding process. But once the bill was put on the floor, all the Democrats, except one in the House, voted against it. And, of course, all these Senate Democrats keep voting no. So they're doing this for one simple reason, Will, and this is what is so infuriating to us. Clearly, this is motivated out of fear. We all see the election coming tomorrow. We know that Mondami is expected to win the mayor's office in New York City, our largest city in the country, and he is an open and avowed socialist, truly a communist, a Marxist, and that terrifies the establishment in Washington. Remember, you have 2 New Yorkers in charge of both chambers, the Senate and the House on the Democrat side, and the minority, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. They're both from New York. They're worried about the political retribution from the radical left activists in their party, more than they're worried about an extended government shutdown that hurts real Americans. SNAP benefits, TSA agents, Border Patrol, our troops being paid, all that is in jeopardy because these guys are playing political games.
With that being the case, what you need is Democrat votes. Would it be helpful in that cause to bring in President Trump? President Trump has been a great whip, often obviously on his own side within the Republican caucus. Would you love to see President Trump involved in trying to whip some votes from Democrats?
Well, he was involved. Remember, before this all began, the 4 leaders went over to the White House. We sat across from him at the Resolute desk. Hakeem Jeffries was there, Chuck Schumer, myself, and Leader Thune in the Senate. And the president had a great dialogue. He said, give me your proposals, guys. Well, remember, they had just filed a $1.5 trillion demand for new spending, including giving $200 billion to illegal aliens to fund their health care again, to prop up NPR and PBS, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They wanted to send billions of dollars back overseas to these crazy social programs in other countries. And the president said, well, obviously that's a non-starter. Talk to me about something that's real and reasonable. And they just stuck their thumb in his eye. So the president tried. He is the great deal maker, the art of the deal. He can negotiate the end of wars around the world. But he does not have enough with these guys to overcome their fear of the Marxist in the Democrat Party. There is a massive turn to the left of that party, and that's what's motivating them.
Mr. Speaker, there's not five. I think that's the number we're still sitting at. 5 Democrats of reasonable nature that can make a deal with President Trump.
Well, we certainly pray there is. It is our great plea to them to put all this aside and do the right thing for the country. Remember, we're asking them to do something they've done 13 times just in the Biden administration alone. They did it, 10 of them did it as recently as March of this year on the exact same funding bill. We're just asking them to do the right thing, what they know to be the right thing, and we're praying that after the election tomorrow, that will be something that will be a seismic shift in all this, and then they'll come to their senses and do the right thing, because people are hurting because of this.
If that doesn't happen, Mr. Speaker, what do you think of the president's proposal to hit the nuclear option to do away with the filibuster in the Senate? Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said he is not interested in doing away with the filibuster, consistently been opposed to that idea. President Trump is encouraging Republicans to then do away with the filibuster.
Yeah, he and I have talked a lot about that over the weekend, and look, I understand it. It's an expression of his anger and his just frustration over this, because the president, as you know, has bent over backwards to make sure the troops are paid and that we get WIC benefits to the people that need them, women, infants, and children, and that SNAP gets distributed. He doesn't want the American people to hurt, and he's so frustrated that the Democrats have the audacity to do this. The filibuster is obviously a decision for the Senate, but a lot of the Senate Republicans would come on the show today and tell you they're worried about it because it is a safeguard against the worst impulses of the Democrat Party. And if they do go this far left, which they are, they show no signs of turning back. Imagine a scenario where they were in charge and they didn't have the filibuster. I mean, we would have nationalized elections. They would infringe on our Second Amendment rights. They'd pack the Supreme Court, and they'd make Puerto Rico and D.C. states. Those are things they've actually advocated for and said they would do. So it's a delicate dance. It's a really tough decision, but the Senate Republicans have to make that ultimate call.
When you laid that out for the president, your concerns about what the future could look like, should the Democrats be operating without the filibuster, what was his response?
Well, the president has said publicly the same thing he says to me privately. He's concerned that they're going to do it anyway. The next time that they have unified government, let's pray that never happens. But if the Democrats were in charge of the White House, the Senate, and the House, he thinks that they might well pull the trigger and do that. I'm not so sure, because I think it's been a part of their tradition for decades. And though both sides have sort of danced around it, none have actually pulled that trigger because they know what a big thing it would be. But the president and I are having a lot of discussion about that. He is talking a lot to the Senate Republicans, and they've got to make that call. I've got enough to manage in the House. I got my own thing. My view on it's irrelevant, but it's a serious decision, you know.
And that's what we heard from J.D. Vance at the Turning Point USA event. Republicans, he said, can't be afraid to do something because of what Democrats might do when they're going to do it anyway. It sounds like the president making that argument to you when it comes to the filibuster. One last question, Mr. Speaker. When was the last time you spoke to Hakeem Jeffries?
A few days ago. Hakeem is a colleague and a friend, somebody I respect, but you know, we have deep policy disagreements. Politics here is rough right now. But I try not to take that personal, and he has the same viewpoint. We have to work with one another in this building. We have small margins. I have a 1 or 2 vote margin on any given day. And we're supposed to treat one another with dignity and respect as colleagues. We try to maintain that. Hakeem does as well, as heated as things are right now.
All right. Speaker Johnson, thanks for giving us some time here today. I appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.